All right, good afternoon. We're ready for the second session here. We have Calum Field, a solutions architect with Semperis, here to talk about ransomware. As a reminder, we're going to try to save some time at the end of the session to do Q&A. There's microphones in the center of the room, halfway back and up front. We'll be glad to take your questions there. This is TLP White for the session. With that, Calum.
Thank you very much, Philip. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, and I hope you're getting a lot of information about instances happening all around the world. My subject for today is your hybrid activity secure from cyber attacks. Funny enough, on Saturday, I've just come back from quite a big of a world tour, or a tour in Europe, and haven't had much time with my wife. Saturday, had breakfast, having a drink of coffee. What are we going to do on Saturday? The chief technology officer from Germany, from Semperis, rings me up. I said, am I going to answer the phone? If I don't answer the phone, he might screw me up next week. If I answer the phone, that might be my weekend I'm going to screw up. I answered the phone. It was actually a partner of ours has contacted them. It's a customer, not of ours. We've never heard of him. And actually, on Friday, they were attacked. Their Active Directory was destroyed. It's completely taken down. Every backup of the Active Directory on-premise, destructed. How do you go about? This is a threat which is actual today. When we have a look at disaster recovery plans, normally they were for physical events that are happening, volcanoes, earthquakes. Then they moved into terrorism. Today, disaster recovery should be covering cyber weaponization. If your AD goes down, your infrastructure, it's probably going to be a cyber attack. Maersk shipping, the Olympic Games 2018, all signs, it's coming, and it's coming faster than we want. My name's Calum Field, Solutions Archictect by Semperis. Really pleased to be here. We're also downstairs. If I don't get any time, ransomware can kind of suck us in, and I could hit the end of the time. I'm downstairs. I'm happy to take on any discussion, any questions or answers, give you a demo of our products, how they're working, no problems. Protecting the digital enterprise. What does that mean for you? The risk of the enterprise, they're changing even more. I can remember back when I was doing client management, we were talking about bring your own devices. Hey, how cool. I can bring my tablet to work. Who's talking about bringing a tablet to work today? Who's talking about going to work? We all want to work from home now. That's what the users are expecting, isn't it? Or it's maybe not what they're expecting. They want 2 days in the office, maybe 3 days at home, maybe the other way around. But it's changing again, right? The boundaries are changing. Where are our users? Where do we need to concentrate our efforts to protect? Then we have cloud applications. Wow, cloud, using someone else's computer. Great one. Okay, but these are things we've all got to think about. How are we going to authenticate to cloud applications that are being used by our users, who might be just about anywhere in the whole world now? Scattered hybrid identities. Everyone, many organizations got an Active Directory. Some people might be using federation services, Okta as a federation service. Some people definitely going to be moving into Azure Active Directory. Some of you might have said, okay, Microsoft, go away. Let's have a look at Google, let's have a look at Google, or let's have a look at AWS. There's just so many places where these identities can exist. From an administrator perspective, we don't want identities being scattered everywhere. When someone leaves a company, how many services have you got to check up before the identity of this person who's now left the company is actually being completely deleted? And we've got ransomware attacks. It gets a little murky when we start talking about cyber espionage. It's not just your normal teams, your Conti teams or whatever who's out working out there. We've also got state actors. State actors, definitely using all these ransomware, malware, denial attacks, whatever attacks. There's just so many of them. And it's not certain hacker groups, it's state actors. What does this mean? You know your Active Directory by many organizations. What's the Active Directory? That's the server sitting in the corner collecting the dust. Nobody knows what it's doing. It's just It's a server. It's like the air that we breathe. It's like the food that we drink, that we eat, the liquids that we drink. It's just something we've always done. Active Directory is just there. It's just always been there, man. I mean, think about it. 22 years of Active Directory. 22 years, a product of Microsoft has managed. And who would have thought that today, year 2022, we're still talking about a technology that was designed 22 years ago? And let's just stay on this train of thought, right? Who would have thought which developers who were developing Active Directory 22 years ago, which one of them had the insights today at the threats, at the capabilities and everything that could happen to an Active Directory? Fact is, nobody who was developing Active Directory back then could have known about the risks that we're going to be under today. And I think if anyone says, well, I don't want to listen to Calum, but I want the takeaways, I'll tell you what the takeaway is for today. Your Active Directory is not as protected as you think it is. It's just too damn easy to take the whole infrastructure down. You don't believe me? Well, I look forward to talking about Maersk very shortly. It's not just the security companies talking about your identities now, by the way. It seems to be every security company is now talking about identity as if it's something new. No, it's not. We just talked about Active Directory's been around for 22 years. Microsoft says identity is the new control plane. You have to concentrate on your identity. Then when we have a look at analysts, identity is central to providing appropriate, accurate, and secure access to data, services, and systems. That's from Gartner. And Forrester, they're saying something pretty similar as well. Identity is a core building block of a robust zero-trust security ecosystem and infrastructure. Damn, buzzword bingo, I've said it, zero trust. Damn, I wanted to avoid that. Believe me, I'm going to try and avoid all this buzzword bingo. Let's move on. Hybrid. What does hybrid mean? Let's do a little reverse. Who's got an Active Directory in their organization? Just put your hands up quickly. There's no prizes. I've got all the prizes on the stand. Stand one, right? Okay, there was a lot of hands. Who's putting a hand up? Who's got Azure Active Directory? Great one. Who hasn't got a clue what AD and Azure Active Directory is? You probably might be in the wrong room. Oh, no hands. Okay, great one. I love it, love it. So, hybrid. What we're seeing is your Active Directory is still the central point of your identities. When identities get created, it's probably going to be in your Active Directory. They might come from some human resources tool, but they're being pumped into your Active Directory. Now we're seeing, though, Microsoft open up a whole new can of worms, and we're moving into the cloud with the identities. But what's at the center? What's at the center of your infrastructure? It's your Active Directory. If your Active Directory goes down, you've got a kind of a backup as your Active Directory, but it's not a replacement for your Active Directory. And we see very few companies who have moved 100% into Azure Active Directory. What does that mean, though? Active Directory is central to hybrid identity. Doesn't matter what sort of services you've used. We've been talking about our users scattered around all around the globe. Might be you want to use some other services, Okta, G Suite. They might be they're going to go to Azure Active Directory, pick up the identities from this. But your users, they want to use other services, Box, Salesforce, AWS, Office 365. There's so many compelling reasons why your organization must be thinking about the move into using Azure Active Directory. But think about one of the sentences I said at the start. By lots of organizations, the Active Directory server is the server sitting in the corner, collecting dust. And that's unfortunately where we are today. So this server collecting dust is being even more important today because it's actually giving the identities to Azure Active Directory. It is the center one block. If you play with Lego, that's your first block. Active Directory is a cybercrime target. If any of you guys really want to earn some real money, maybe we've picked the wrong job. Maybe we should be in IT, but maybe we should have been working as an attacker, as a ransomware attacker. Have you seen some of the amounts that these ransomware attackers, denial-whale attackers, what they're asking for? 750 Bitcoin, hey, I'll take it. Yeah, where do I sign? Where do I sign up for this? 2.5 million, well, I'll sign up. There's just so many cyber attacks are happening. It's getting quite hard to track it all down and what's being infiltrated. So much money. But what I like to point out here, every 11 seconds, an attack is happening. So in the 11 seconds that I've been walking up and down here now, just showing this one screen, somebody might have just earned 750 Bitcoins. And there's me working for my money on a stage talking to you guys. Well, okay. AD is in the attacker's crosshairs. Doesn't matter what sort of attacks we're looking at, the AD is somehow involved. The AD must be involved because it doesn't matter if you want to infiltrate data. What do you need? An account. You need an account that has access to the data. What a better way to find the account needed to access the data than your Active Directory. Why are they saying it's the king's keys to your kingdom? Because the Active Directory is one massive information of data. If I want to know about permissions, I want to find out about identities, which ones are worth hacking, I'm just going to use the Active Directory. So here we can see several attacks where the Active Directory has been used in an attack, maybe even left in an unusable state when the attackers were finished. And over here, Kaseya, Hafnium, Zero Logon, Print Nightmare. God, the list goes on. Active Directory, SolarWinds, Hafnium. The SolarWinds, wow, what a massive attack, right? In fact, the SolarWinds attack was quite unique. Normally what we see is the bad actors, they're coming from the internet and getting onto your local on-premise. With SolarWinds, the supply chain attack, it was a reverse attack to everything we had already known before. Because of the software of SolarWinds, the attackers got onto the Active Directory on-premise. From the on-premise, they moved into the cloud. Many of you have probably heard about a golden ticket attack. This is the first time we saw the golden SAML attack. The golden SAML attack, the attackers, they could give themselves a ticket, doesn't matter where they are in the world, every federated service they could have got access to. It's the first time we've seen it. Hafnium, zero-day exploits. They're being used quite a lot. By the way, the SolarWinds, we're expecting it was the Russians. No one's putting their hand up at the end. And Hafnium, the zero-day exploits where your Exchange server is being misused, permissions are being gained. This is expected to come from the China side. As I said at the very start, it's not just your normal hacker groups, your well-known hacker groups. State-aided hacking. Doesn't matter which account or which attacks we talk about now, the Active Directory played a very big part in these attacks. Does anyone recognize this picture? If somebody does recognize it, someone's got their hand up, oh yeah, I do hope it was just from maybe a bit of news or something, or a picture on Twitter. I hope it wasn't something you had to turn on your laptop for and you got greeted by this picture. NotPetya. NotPetya, a very big company, got hit by this. A very big company. Let's talk about the company. Before I start talking about Maersk, may I really stress out at this stage, I am very thankful to Maersk for the openness about how they were attacked, what happened. Why? Because we can all learn from it. Other organizations can learn about, well, how should we have done things? In fact, Andy Powell has even done an hour interview on Spotify talking about the mistakes that Maersk made. If they could go back in time and correct something, what would they correct? I think this is a very valuable talk that he gave to give you insights about the mistakes of other companies. And it's very interesting at Maersk Line, what happened. It is the world's biggest shipping company. However, within 7 minutes, 146 domain controllers wiped out. there was actually only one domain controller left, but it was in a country that had just had a power disruption. That was the reason why it was turned off. So Maersk Shipping, they lost 146 domain controllers. Everything's encrypted. Forget anything on that server. It was unusable in this state. If you just went and turned on, you get a blue screen. It's unusable. Nothing exists anymore. Maersk Shipping had to get domain controllers up and running. Why do we need the domain controllers up and running? Well, every service that's connected to your domain controllers is not usable until your Active Directory is working. So when you get hit by ransomware, denialware, whatever it's called, you're going to be very concentrated in getting your Active Directory up and running. Without Active Directory, hardly nothing works. Even at Maersk Shipping, they've got their big lorries to the ports. The doors were even controlled by Active Directory. They had to type in a number, press a button, and it's checking all the information. Didn't work anymore. So no lorries coming in, no lorries coming out, can't open the doors. They resorted to using pencils. The world's biggest shipping companies, they had no idea what's in the containers because that's all digital. Probably in some Excel sheet somewhere, right? Can't use it anymore. 7 minutes. 146 domain controllers, gone. 55,000 extra servers, devices, gone. Critical applications, all gone. Imagine, just for 10 seconds, Monday, you go to work, 9 o'clock. Management's all outside, hair on fire. If there's a table there's some manager who's going to be banging his fist, when are we coming online again? You get the information, AD's compromised, nothing's available. How do you recover? Can you recover? What questions have you got to ask yourself to be able to recover from such a scenario? Once again, I am very thankful for Maersk Line for the very openness that they've given to talk about this attack. It helps security companies like us, like you guys, many of us. And it also helps other organizations learn about the mistakes made before the attack. So you go to work Monday morning, 9 o'clock, hair on fire, woof, everything's encrypted, nothing's working. Where do you start? Can you recover? I think it's pretty bad statistics what we are actually reading here. 33% said, well, we've got a plan. It looks pretty good on paper. Yep, that's fine. That's good. Disaster plan? Yep, check, done. Have you done a disaster plan? What about testing the disaster plan? One question that we do get asked, or that I actually ask our customers is, where do you store this disaster plan? Oh, in the NAS box. Is that the NAS box that's connected to Active Directory? Yes, it is. Well, okay. It's a start, but if your AD goes down, what's going to happen? Our AD's never gone down. Okay. I actually had you laugh. I had that on a question. I had to 100% try not to laugh. Thing is, when you're talking about Active Directory disaster plans, recovering, lots of companies get really nervous when we start talking about disaster recovery and Active Directory. We recommend to our customers that they go through the process once every quarter. We also offer guidance where to store backups, where to store the disaster plan. I'll give you another takeaway right now. Do not store your disaster plans or any data that you may need in case of a disaster on any device that is connected to Active Directory. It's just a no-go, and it's never going to work. So, the crisis is going to strike, and I can guarantee you, the crisis will strike. It's going to hit the next company. It's going to hit the next company. It's going to hit the next company. How long till it hits your organization? What kind of questions do you need to ask before the crisis strikes? As I've told you, since Saturday I've been involved in an incident response. The very first communication we had with the customer didn't even know his name anymore. They are really that much sinking in panic. Is this the end of the company? They didn't even know exactly what risk they've been put out to. They didn't even know exactly how many systems have been affected. And the customer, and we're talking even management level, very, very, very nervous. In fact, the very first, something like 35 minutes, we were calming just the customer down, just to get him rationally thinking again. And again, thinking about your organization. How would your organization react when suddenly you cannot work anymore? So there's a lot of questions your company's got to start, organizations have got to start. If you're a CISO, great one, you're in a good position to start mobilizing your teams, getting some answers for yourself so you can understand the risks. So what kind of questions do you need to be asking yourself? Critical applications. What applications are so critical to our organization? Microsoft has written a document called the Microsoft Forest Recovery Document. It's a quite nice document, by the way. It's dry, it's very complex, about manual steps needed to recover your Active Directory. I can recommend it to anybody who's working as an administrator for a domain controller. However, if your AD has just been encrypted by attackers, you have never tried a forest recovery manually, you haven't even seen this document. Even worse, you saved this document on the NAS box connected to AD, right? But it's okay, web pages, gotta love them, you can always get to the infos. Then maybe you will be overwhelmed by this document. It is pretty complex document. 90 pages long, very dry, manual recovery steps for your Active Directory. If anyone has any difficulties finding it, come down to me, stand 1, I'll show you the link, I can send it to you, whatever you guys need. No problems. So there's a whole load of questions you need to ask yourself. One of the questions I would like to point out as well. Have you tested your procedure? What is your organization going to do in case of an attack? Who's going to take over what role? Not worried about your SharePoint team. They can't do anything until your Active Directory is back up and running again. Your first is going to be getting your Active Directory up and running. Maersk Shipping needed 9 days to get the Active Directory back up and running, although they had a running copy. By the way, this server is a pretty famous server now, actually, because they actually flew it the next day from somewhere in South Africa. I believe it was in Ghana, in Africa, where it was. Flew first class to Great Britain so they could start the restore process. So they had one domain controller up and running, and they still needed 9 days to get Active Directory up and running so we could start thinking about all the other services. By the way, these are very compressed states about the steps needed to recover your Active Directory. Microsoft, 90 pages, Semperis, kind of compromised it to 28 steps. We follow the NIST cycle. Identify the risk, protect the service, detect the attack, responding to attacks, and recovering from the attack. Just going to fly through these products at the moment because you can come downstairs and have a chat with me anytime. Vulnerability assessments. What does your Active Directory look like? And security doesn't even cost money. We've got free tools. It's free. You can go to purple-night.com, download the tool, use it. Assessment on your Active Directory. Absolutely. What's it going to cost you? 1 email address. Yeah, you give them 1 email address. And yes, you probably will get 1 email after you've downloaded it. Ignore the email. We're not going to bother you anymore. We just want to be a force for good. We want to help organizations out there improve the Active Directory security. We are looking for indicators of exposures, ways, configuration errors, ways that an attacker might misuse to try to gain access to your Active Directory. Detecting, threat detection, visibility, auto-remediation. With our tool, Directory Services Protector, we offer you the full monitoring. Not just full monitoring, every change that's made in your Active Directory, but also giving you the capabilities of manually or automatically undoing any change made in your Active Directory. Cyber First Disaster Recovery Tool. the tool, Active Directory Force Recovery. This complex white paper from Microsoft, 90 pages long, the complex version, the pretty much shrinked version, 28 points long. We've put this all to one tool. We have automated the Active Directory Force Recovery. With our tool, we are the fastest tool out there. We can do the fastest backups. We do the fastest restores. 100% malware-free, guaranteed. Doesn't matter what the state is. Our solution, we only back up the files needed to recover Active Directory, no matter what. And just to have a quick look at the products, purplenight.com, a free tool. We offer you a visibility into the assessment of your Active Directory. We look at your accounts. We look at Kerberos protocol. We look at the infrastructure itself. And we give you a score, but even better, we deliver to you the problems we found with our free tool in your environment. You know what you need to fix to stop the attackers getting in. Next steps. Evaluate your worst case Active Directory cyber disaster preparedness. How prepared are you for this data extinction event that could happen in your organization? How good are you with recognizing when the bad actors are in your Active Directory doing something? 2 tools that you need. One, just circle back a second. Andy Powell, CISO, Maersk. That's the guy you want to look at Spotify, 1-hour webinar. Brilliant, guys. 9 days for an Active Directory recovery isn't good enough. You should aspire to 24 hours. If you can't, then you can't repair anything else. He's speaking from experience. He's a pretty good guy to talk to at the moment for more information on attacks. Semperis. Who is Semperis? Semperis, we're always ready. I started off and I told you about my Saturday morning. That's not how I plan my Saturday morning. But what you find, many Semperians, we love our company. We're very passionate about what we do. That's what makes us at Semperis. Directory Services Protector, monitoring your Active Directory for every change that's been made. Also being able to give you the capabilities of undoing any change made in the Active Directory. It's not as if you get attacked at 9 o'clock in the morning and at 10 past 9, the attackers are finished. Many of these attacks, they've taken weeks, if not months. Months where an attacker has been trying to change things in your Active Directory, trying to get information, trying to get more privileges. If companies had the monitoring tool, seeing every change made in Active Directory, many of these attacks could have been stopped before it was a big issue. The second tool, Active Directory Force Recovery. We back up your Active Directory. We save the backups on the servers that are on your DCs, on a distribution point. We also recommend that you use indestructible storage. Storage, write once, read many times. We also recommend that for on your on-premise backups, do not use AD joined storage boxes. Simple. How many companies have a non-domain joined storage capability? What we've seen in the last experience, not many, but that's where your DC backup should be landing. Because the hackers, they're going to encrypt not just Active Directory, not just your data, but also they're going to try and destroy your backups. Without Active Directory, you have nothing. With our ADFR tool, we are the fastest product on the market for backing up, for restoring, and also we are 100% malware-free when we recover your forest. Any questions about what you might have heard? As I said, if anyone's shy, put your hand up now. I'm in stand 1 today. For the rest of the day, tomorrow I'm going to be back here again. I am more than welcome to take any questions, to give you a demonstration about our products, swap visiting cards, whatever. Please feel free to come and visit me. Also, we've got some drinks arranged for later tonight. I hope I'm allowed to say this, guys. We got drinks later. I've still got some cards downstairs, so if anyone's got time from 5:30, I think it's till 8 o'clock. We might have to drink a little fast, don't know. But I'm up for it. My AD is protected. My name is Calum Field. I work for Semperis. It's my absolute pleasure to be here with you today. I'm getting scared now.
Yeah, one small question. Two questions, in fact. First question is, similar kind of protection is required for LDAP implementation also, because many organizations are not on the AD, they may be having LDAP, and similar attacks are happening there also. That is number one question.
Okay, let me answer this question.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we do support Active Directory. We are looking into other identity providers. You've got your Okta, you've got AWS, Google, but it is at the moment, we do support Active Directory. We're also monitoring Azure Active Directory, but that's what we have at the moment. We do not have any LDAP, but I can't say that's not on the drawing boards for maybe something we'll do at the end of the year. We'd have to chase up in the product management team.
Okay. From the attack perspective, the attacker compromises the privileged account and then does the Active Directory modifications. How do you distinguish between this is the actual administrator doing or the attacker doing? Because the activity is similar.
Very good question. So basically, how do we distinguish about a domain administrator and any other account? Basically, our product cannot do this. But what we offer is the monitoring. Doesn't matter who made a change in the Active Directory. We will always be able to record this change and show to you that a change has been made. This is important for two things. One, for your Active Directory team, what changes have been made in Active Directory, but also think about post-breach. Your Active Directory has been taken down now by some bad actors. And now your Active Directory is down, the team's working on getting it back up. Our tool, DSP, can provide you now with the information. What did the hackers do when they got access to your Active Directory? You can start filling out this information, although you do not have access to your Active Directory now. It's very questions, forensics on what did the attacker do? We can still address these questions with our software, although the AD is not online.
Okay, thank you.
No problem, sir. Any other questions? Thank you very much. You are the greatest audience. Thank you. Stay safe.